What's going on, everyone? Well, my name's Dewey, and I haven't seen you guys in over a year on YouTube here, so I'm sorry about that. I've had a lot of stuff going on with the family sicknesses, me getting sick, different things like that. And I haven't had any aviation stuff up. If you guys have been following me, you know I'm all about making kind of quirky aviation videos. It's barnstormer life and things like that, but this video is a little bit different. Well, this is a lot different. This is a real video about the coronavirus, the COVID-19. I'll try not to make it super long. I'll try to get through the video as quick as we can. As you guys know, we're in a pandemic here in the world. The world is just taken over by this, and it's been a disaster for everything. Businesses, small businesses, for families, being sick and things like that. So why I'm really talking about this video is that I was just recently tested about a week ago, and the test results came back positive. So I have the COVID-19 virus. I assume that I did, and and that's kind of why I'm talking about this. I want to talk about my symptoms, what made me go and get tested, and different things like that. Try to make this a kind of quick, short video. Maybe do a live video about my aviation stuff and where I've been on a different video, so if my followers are watching this, they can see something different later. But I really want to just talk about my symptoms. We've been watching the news, and we talk, you listen to stuff there. I just want to give another, I guess, opinion on symptoms and how things are, and this is a very serious situation going on in the world, so don't treat it as a joke. This isn't the flu. This is a different animal. I'm not a doctor. I can just tell you that I've been tested positive for it. With me being a pilot and traveling the country and different things like that, we put ourselves in danger each and every day that we're out working, and that's what has happened. So I'm here at home right now being quarantined, and I hope that some of this information, if you guys get any of these symptoms, that you really take control and go see a doctor. Call your doctor. I would definitely call your doctor before you show up to any doctor office, hospital, or anything, because you don't want to spread the virus anymore, especially with people with underlying conditions and elderly people. My condition is, I would say, very stable, and hopefully I'm almost done with this whole situation. It's been a very mild experience for me. I haven't had to go to the hospital for any respiratory issues or ventilator, and I've watched myself very, very well. So I'm very, in my opinion, I'm healthy. I eat very well. I'm a plant-based diet, vegan. So I don't know if that has helped, but I definitely can tell you it probably has not hurt. So this started out on March 22nd, I believe. I was coming home from work, and I started having this headache. And with this headache, I never really get a headache. So it's kind of strange, and I've been, everybody has all this anxiety about this virus. For anything right now, temperature, headaches, you hear this, and then when I got it, I'm like, man, there's no way that I could be having this, right? So, like I said, I was driving home, started having a headache, and in that hour drive, I started having some cold chills. Cold chills is really kind of associated with temperature changes with your body, and by the time I got home, I was able to check my temperature, and I did have a low-grade fever. So it was about 99 degrees, and upper 99s. It wasn't 99.0. It was 99.9 or so. And I'm like, well, I got a low-grade fever. I'm going to watch this. And I still had this headache. I didn't have any Tylenol, so I took some Advil. And, I didn't think nothing about it. Then I talked to some friends. They're like, don't take Advil. This is what they're saying. It's too late. I already took the Advil. The headache started receding a little bit, so that I felt better. checked my temperature maybe 2 hours later. It was 100.4, something like that. So my temperature was still there and it went up just a hair more. So now I'm really watching it. I went through that night here at the house. I knew I needed to quarantine myself. I notified my parents that, I had this headache. And then when I got home, I told them I had a temperature. And they lived down the road a few minutes away. And I'm here alone. So I wanted to let someone know what was going on. So the next day when I got up, it was the same thing, same temperature. Temperature started going up a little bit, and it went up to 102. That's the highest I've seen the whole time. I tried to contact kind of my physician that I go and see more than I've seen anyone else. Wasn't able to reach them. Called them. I left a text message, called their office, and then they couldn't see me. So I went to another doctor, and they were able to see me a little sooner. I went in, and they wanted to see me, so I told them I might have had this virus because I travel as a pilot, and they told me to still come into the office, which I didn't think that was a really good thing, but whatever. I went in there. They checked me for flu. They stuck a swab up my nose and checked me. It came back negative right away. So the doctor right then said, well, we have to assume that you have this virus. You need to quarantine yourself for 14 days. But since you don't have a temperature at this time, you don't meet the mandate to go and to get tested. And I'm like, you got to be crazy. How can this not be, how can I not be tested for this? So we've been having some issues here in Ohio, and I don't know why. I'm not going to get into it, what I think. So he ends up calling the command center right there, and I can hear him talking. And he comes back, he says, well, since you don't have a temperature, they may not test you. They may turn you away, but you can go over and try. And I said, well, how about if I pull another temperature, and then I'll go over? And we kind of agreed on that. So I came home, I sat down, no temperature. A little bit later, started having some cold chills, and I checked my temperature, it's like 100.1. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get ready, put on my clothes, check, it's 98.5. So I'm like, okay, I don't have a temperature. And I check it an hour later, it'd be 100. 15 minutes later, it'd be 98. So it was very difficult to make the decision. I did not go. He calls me the very next morning and says, I want you to go over. They changed the rules last night. So I drove over to University of Dayton. They have a drive-through COVID testing facility. And when I pulled in, it's about 15 cars ahead of me. The whole process only took about 20 minutes. Once I got up there, they took pictures of your ID and medical insurance, things like that. They asked me really one question. They said, are you in the medical field? And I said, no, I'm a pilot. And it was like instant. They wrote out and put this piece of paper on my windshield, and they had me proceed into another area to where they tested me. They take a swab. It's about 3 to 4 inches long. They stick it up in one of your nostrils and hold it there for 10 seconds, and they pull it out and put it into whatever the bag or script bag that was needed for testing. And I drove home. So it took maybe 20 minutes for the whole entire process from when I pulled into the parking lot. I was very glad about that. Drove home. I waited. It took approximately 6 days to get my results back. I think that's really ridiculous. I know they're busy and things like that. Now, before I was going to go to the University of Dayton, I was going to go to a private facility and have myself tested. And that's what I was going to do. Well, since my doctor set up this script to go to University of Dayton, and they actually took the test, I went ahead and did that. If they were going to turn me away, I was going to do it privately. So as I waited for the results to come back, you have to assume that you have the virus, so you have to quarantine yourself. I stayed in the house pretty much the entire time. I did walk down the street. I tried to do that twice a day just to keep myself a little bit of activity going on. But I had social distancing at the farthest that you could ever be because I live alone. Um, my family would bring food, leave it on the front door, and my next door neighbors would do the same thing. They would bring food or text me, and I would ask them to bring, whatever I needed. Um, about day 3 or 4, once getting into my first symptoms, I started developing a cough, a little more of a cough than what I had originally, which I had no cough. I've had no runny nose, nothing. So I started coughing a little bit, and then I still, to this day, I've not had a sore throat, and I have not had a runny nose. My cough was really not that bad. It's not a cough that you would normally get with a cold. My cough the whole time has been very dry, and it hasn't been something that has been prolonged. I'm not coughing, uncontrollably or anything like that. So that is one of the experiences that I've had with my coughing. My temperature dropped about 3 days after I started having a temperature. Never had any other temperature since. I've checked myself throughout the week and a half now. No problems. The coughing still persists a little bit, but very, very frequent. I would say I might cough 2 or 3 times a day. I don't know if I would even consider this a coronavirus cough, right? I just think it's coughing. Then breathing. I haven't really had any issues breathing until about day 4 or 5 after I started having my temperature. I started noticing when I would lay down on my back, watching TV or anything like that, I started having really dry mouth, dry nose. Something I've never had in my life before. You'll get a dry mouth at times and things, but this was the super dry. I must explain, it's the driest you'll ever have. I would get water. I drink about a gallon of water a day, if not more. Okay, and I still had this super dry mouth and throat and nose experience. Laying on my back, I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe through my nose. I would concentrate and try to breathe in deeply and was not able to through my nose. I would have to open my mouth. I would breathe through my mouth, and I was able to get air that way. I would set up, have no problems breathing. So I started experimenting a little bit. I would lay down for about 5 minutes and started developing the breathing problem. I would set up, no problems. And I'd sit there for 5 minutes, and then I'd lay down. And then I would just kind of watch that. I didn't have any issues with my chest hurting. I wasn't coughing up any phlegm or anything like that, so I didn't think it was pneumonia. Another thing I would do, I would take in very deep breaths and hold it. They say if you hold it and start coughing or whatever, then maybe you would have it, but I didn't have any issues like that. I did notice some back pain. I say shoulder blade height, my back would ache. And that was kind of more towards the beginning, maybe day 3 of when I first started having symptoms. And it hurt. It felt like maybe I was working out, or like when you lift weights and the day after you're a little sore. That's kind of what it felt like. It just felt like someone was pushing on your shoulder blades. And that's kind of the experience I had with that. Now, once I was notified by my doctor that I tested positive, obviously it's kind of like, okay, well, this is good and bad, I guess. I notified my company. I notified my family and some friends and different things like that. I just know that I have to continue to be, kept away from other people. But now it's like, okay, I want to make sure that I don't have any other symptoms and make sure that I don't have any of these breathing issues. You hear about the ventilators and different things like that. I don't want to get into a situation where I have to go to the hospital and get put on a ventilator. So I've been, I'd say, very blessed and that I haven't had any worse symptoms than what I've had. The breathing has made things a little apprehensive at times, a little anxiety. Going to bed, it's woke me up twice now to where I don't breathe easily and I would wake up. I would think one night I had some weird dreams. I don't know if that's something that comes with this, but I did have some weird dreams and I can't remember exactly what it is. It wasn't a nightmare, but it was a weird dream. And a day after my doctor did notify me, I had the health department contact me, the county, and they asked me, we spoke for 15 to 20 minutes. A doctor called me. We spoke about my travels, domestically and internationally, and then my symptoms. I know for a fact this is kind of all new, so a lot of people don't know. So I think they're just taking notes, trying to see, all these different symptoms that people are having. When I tell people, well, it's been this, it's kind of hard for them to believe that I have it, and it's hard for me to believe. It's been very mild, but like I said, I believe I'm in fairly good health, and things have been very promising on that side. I'm now in, I would say, day 11 or 12 since my first signs of it. They're saying that, when I first got notified that I had positive test results, they said I was legal to go to work pretty much the very next day. Once the health department called me, we spoke, and he said, well, we want to give you, two more days of being quarantined, which I'm going to still quarantine myself and, obviously not go to my parents or anyone elderly. But once I know I'm pretty much in the clear, I'm going to probably start going out and trying to help a little bit more. I build up some immunities to it. Hopefully that, it doesn't, I can't contract it again. And I guess that's the promising side about this, is once you get it, and hopefully that you get through it, without serious issues, then you're actually considered safe. And we're all going to probably get this eventually, and hopefully it's a mild case, mild to mostly mild case like I've been in. And really that's about it. I think maybe tomorrow I might make another video of like some symptoms that maybe I'm having from this video to the next. And if you guys have questions, you can leave some comments down below, different things like that. And maybe I've left out a couple things. I can make another little quick clip. This video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Sorry. I hope this has been helpful. It is a bad situation going on here, but I am one of these cases where I'm actually okay. I'm not in the hospital. I'm not on a ventilator. And I'm actually, I believe, on the back side of this, okay? So there is hope for all of us. Just be promise me to wash your hands, keep your social distance with everyone that you know, and really, use your networks of friends and family through your phones and things like that to help you through this. Don't let it get bad. Don't think it's the flu. Don't think that you just got a head cold or whatever. Call your doctor, get professional advice, and I would say almost don't accept no. These doctors, and I don't know who's telling what, but if they're telling you you don't need testing, okay, maybe you don't, but you need to really try to be a little bit persistent in it and keep yourself quarantined. Us Americans don't want to be quarantined. You guys want to be out running around at these restaurants and doing all this different stuff, but please do not do that, because you're going to spread the virus. I don't know where I got it, how I got it, but obviously it's probably a door handle or something obviously gave it to me. So keep yourself safe. Keep your hands clean, try not to touch your face, do all the unnatural, normal things that we all do, try not to do that. All right, until then, blue skies.